Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of 4K Garage. So in this episode I just want to tackle a small interior mod, just something I've been wanting to do for a while now. I did promise you a video about engine and power upgrades in August, but that'll probably be the next episode, just because I don't want to do that too soon and then not actually get onto those modifications for a while to come yet. But the small interior mod should be a pretty simple one. Let me show you what I want to do. Alright, so it's fairly simple. Essentially what I want to do is take this two-piece panel and wrap it. As you can see, I've just put a piece on there just as a small test. And essentially what I'm going to do to achieve that is glue the two bits together here, and then take it all off, fill that ridge, sand it back, and eventually apply some wrap over it. Hopefully it should go on fairly simply. It's a pretty simple thing that quite a few people do to these cars, so I'm hoping it should turn out all right. Got plenty of the wrap spare, so why not? Let's get some tapered glue in that little gap there. Once that's all glued up, I'm going to be using some plastic body filler just to fill that gap, and I'll smooth it back, apply some primer, sand it back some more. Once I'm happy with the result, we'll stick some wrap on it. There we go, nice and simple. So I've got all that glue in there, and the glue isn't really to fill the gap, although we'll probably do a little bit of that. It's mainly so that when I pop off the panel, the two parts stay together, and therefore I don't have to worry about them being in line or lined up properly or too close, too far apart. Anything like that. Once we get it off, I'll probably glue it again from the rear side, and then sand back this layer of glue and start applying filler in between. So let's wait for that to dry and get this popped off. Right, so here it is so far with the glue taken off the front. As you can see, it's all in one piece. I've just glued it in the gap in the middle. But the two-part epoxy I used previously was essentially to keep it together when I took it off the car. I didn't want any of this moving. So now that I know that it's exactly where it needs to be, I can start applying some ever so fine layer of filler down the middle here, sanding that back, making it smooth, and we can start wrapping it. Should be fairly simple. So let's crack out the filler and go from there. Right, here it is. Applied the filler, took off the tape as you can see, and it's looking pretty good. My only worry is that some of this hasn't fully adhered to the plastic just because I didn't really clean it off properly beforehand. So now all I've got to do is quite thick, so I just got to start sanding that back, and that should be it. And here's the back side. So it's not pretty, but essentially I've just used a bit of super glue and some plastic glue. I'm not sure if it'll work on this plastic, but if it does, that'll give it a nice chemical bond. And I've just covered that joint in some more plastic filler, as you can see. So hopefully it's fairly solid. I mean, it feels fairly solid. I don't feel that it's going to be coming apart. So, and it's only an interior panel. It doesn't even cover anything special, apart from the radio, of course. So, yeah, pretty pleased with that. Let's crack on with the sanding. And so here we are with the first part of the sanding done. And it's very, very rough. Literally like 80 grit finish so far. But you can see it's all one piece now. All looking very smooth. Around there, all the way around there. So yeah, I mean, it's just a case now of I'm going to smooth it out, go up a few grits, 200, 300, maybe 400 grit. Then I'll put down some primer and smooth that out of 600, and I'll just see how it is. Probably put some water on it just to see how it reflects the light. Maybe even take this bit of wrap off here. This was just there as a test, and slap it over the joint just to see if there's any strange ripples in the joint that you can't see until a glossy surface is applied. Let's crack on with stage 2 of the sanding, and I'll check back in with you guys later. Alright, so I've done the stage 2 of sanding, sanding it down to a 320 grit finish. You can still see a few 80 grit scratches there, but I just wanted to test it. So I took the wrap that I just had as a test piece off and laid it over the joint, and unfortunately you can see the joint there because there is ever so slight step that you can perhaps kind of see. But it's no big deal. That was the whole reason for testing it. So I'm going to apply a bit more filler and then sand it back, and I'll probably use the sanding block this time just to get a nice flat surface across the two. So let's do that, and I will show you the results after that. Right, so finally after all this work, I've been able to get a decent smooth finish. Now sanded back much like the body to a wet 600 grit finish. Joined all the way around, as you can see. Looking very good. And the real challenge of this really was just to get rid of that joint down the middle. It's a bit of a funny weird one where this side seemed to be higher than this one, and of course any kind of sanding will always catch the higher side, but at the same time the plastic that this is made out of doesn't sand very well. In some areas it would just delaminate altogether and give this really horrible texture, and towards the joint itself it just wasn't knocking back to the point where it was level all over. But finally, after a load of primer, of which I kept having reactions with, but sanding that back a little bit, then applying more primer, as you can see it's come out all right. So now it's just a case of getting it wrapped. So let's get that done, and I'll show you the finished result. So as you guys saw from most of the time lapse there, we got it all wrapped. Unfortunately, my phone once again filled up with space, so the end of that is lost. But here's the finished product. Looking pretty smart. Now you can probably see on camera the join right in the middle of the panel there. And I think basically that's just come about from when I've pushed the panel back into position, that joint is perhaps even split or just moved ever so slightly, and you can kind of see that in the wrap now. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I think if I would do it again, I'd probably use a different filler rather than plastic filler, and probably maybe paint the whole thing. Just treat the whole thing like I have to prep it from one end to the other rather than just the middle bit. But given certain lights, given certain angles, it's pretty much invisible, as you can see. So I'm pretty pleased with that overall, to be fair. I've got plenty of wrap where I could always redo it in the future, but for now, all I wanted was a little splash of colour in the interior, and that's what I got. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. During all of this interior shenanigans, I've also got a new present for the 86. Say hello everyone to V2 BNY, the only V2 Rocketbunny kit, as far as I'm aware, in the UK. So another Rocketbunny owner made me aware that this number plate was available, so I had to snatch it up. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how it looks. Just kind of little finishing touch to the car. I like, of course, the central spacing on the Japanese size number plate, and yeah, I think it's just a little bit unique, and people in the know, people that know it's a V2 Rocketbunny kit, are going to know exactly what it means. So I'm pretty pleased with that, and hopefully you guys will agree it looks pretty good in there. And there we have it, another episode done for now, guys. Just a little interior mod and a new number plate. Pretty simple. The little things before, and in this case little things after the build is done, just to kind of finish it up. Give some little fine touches, and I think you'll agree it all looks pretty good. So as I said, next episode we'll be getting on to what is the plans for power and any engine modifications, which is going to be pretty exciting. So I hope you stay tuned for that one. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, do all that good YouTube stuff. Give us a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. There's quite a few people that aren't subscribed, which would be nice if you bump that number up a little bit. For now, guys, I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a good one. Cheers. Bye-bye.